5,400 men, an entire legion of the most powerful army in the ancient world. And one day, just like that, they vanish from history. No mass grave, no battlefield strewn with bones, not a single line telling us how they died. It was called the Legio IX Hispana, the Ninth Legion, and its trail cuts off all at once. For nearly 2 centuries, historians and novelists said it was wiped out in the mists of Scotland, massacred by savage tribes. It's a perfect story. The problem is that when archaeologists started to look closely, they found something that doesn't fit. A clue, hundreds of miles from Britain, that changes everything. Stay with me, because the ending dismantles the myth you've been hearing your whole life. Let's start with what we do know for certain, because here the ground is firm. The Ninth was one of Rome's oldest and most feared units. Alongside the 7th, 8th and 10th legions, the 9th Hispana was one of the oldest and most feared in the Roman army. It fought under Julius Caesar, served Augustus in the final wars of the Republic, and eventually crossed the sea to the island of Britain. There it wrote pages of glory and of blood. In the year 61, during the brutal revolt of Queen Boudica, the 9th paid a terrible price. Tacitus, in the Annals, described the defeat of a Roman legion under the command of Quintus Petilius Cerialis during Boudica's rebellion, widely believed to be the 9th. Though he didn't name the unit directly, the infantry was shattered. But the legion didn't die. It was rebuilt as Roman military practice demanded and returned to the ranks. Boudica's forces ambushed and destroyed a detachment of the 9th, with the infantry component almost annihilated, and the survivors, mainly the cavalry, retreating to their camp. The legion was rebuilt with replacements and continued in service. Afterward, the 9th settled in the north. In the year 71, under the governor Cerialis, the legion moved from Lincoln to York, building a new fortress deep in the territory of the Brigantes. That fortress was called Eboracum. Today we know it as York. And here we reach the exact moment the mystery begins. The last piece of evidence that truly attests the 9th Legion was still part of the military garrison of Britain is an inscription dated to around the year 108, found at Eboracum, present-day York. The inscription, discovered in the mid-19th century, is a fragment of a tablet commemorating the construction of a gate of the legionary fortress. It states the gate was raised by order of the Emperor Trajan in the 12th year of his reign, placing it between 107 and 108. That stone exists. You can go and see it. This stone tablet, now on display at the Yorkshire Museum, represents the last definitive evidence of the legion's existence in Britain, and after that date, complete silence. Beyond this point, the historical record goes mute. No further inscription mentions the legion, no military document refers to its activities, and the archaeological evidence of its continued existence simply fades away. And this is where things turn truly unsettling. Because Rome didn't just lose legions, Rome was an obsessive bureaucratic machine. What makes its disappearance particularly baffling is that the Roman military administration was typically meticulous in its record-keeping. Legions were valuable assets, representing an enormous investment in training and equipment. Think about it. When 3 entire legions were destroyed in the Teutoburg forest in the year 9, we know it. Legions 17, 18 and 99 were destroyed in the Teutoburg forest in the year 9, leaving clear archaeological evidence of their destruction. There are bones, there are weapons, there is a story. With the 9th, there's nothing. So for decades, the most dramatic explanation took hold. And it has a name attached to it. The theory that dominated the 19th and early 20th centuries was developed by the German historian and 1902 Nobel Prize winner for literature, Theodor Mommsen. Mommsen's masterpiece, and the work for which he was awarded, was his History of Rome. Mommsen believed the Legio IX Hispana met its end in Britain, most likely during a major revolt. His hypothesis explained why the Romans withdrew from Scotland and fit neatly with the legion's last known location. The idea was powerful. According to this theory, the 9th marched north into the mists of Caledonia to crush the tribes, and the tribes crushed it instead. Mommsen believed a major loss like the destruction of the 9th would explain the decision to pull back from further northern expansion and ultimately to build Hadrian's Wall in the 120s under the Emperor Hadrian. This version captured the popular imagination. Mommsen's theory became the basis for several works of fiction, including Rosemary Sutcliffe's 1945 novel, The Eagle of the Ninth. And from there it jumped to the screen. The Lost Legion in the Fog, devoured by barbarians. A great story. But remember what I promised you at the start, something doesn't fit. Because if you look for the battlefield where the Ninth died, you can't find it. Although there are sites showing Roman military activity beyond Hadrian's Wall, none has produced definitive evidence linking them specifically to the disappearance of the Ninth Legion. The absence of mass graves or significant battle remains has complicated efforts to locate a possible site of destruction. And then came the discovery that shook the whole theory. But not in Scotland, not even in Britain. It turned up across the sea in what is today the Netherlands. Excavations at the Roman fortress of Nijmegen in the Netherlands in 1959 produced a find that would change the course of the Ninth's mystery. Archaeologists discovered, astonished, a tile with a stamp resembling nothing less than that of the Ninth Hispana. And it wasn't just one piece. Stamped bricks and inscriptions dated between 104 and 120, found at Nijmegen in the Roman province of Germania Inferior, indicate the legion, or at least a substantial detachment, was stationed there. Do you understand what this means? If the Ninth was on the Rhine after the year 108, it couldn't have been wiped out in Scotland before. The myth cracks. This contradicted the long-held theory, popularized by Mommsen and others, that the legion was destroyed in Britain. Instead, the evidence from Nijmegen suggested the legion survived and continued operating after the year 108. That's why the scholarly consensus shifted. Since the 1990s, the academic consensus has moved away from a destruction of the Ninth purely on British soil. Instead, scholars now consider it more likely that the legion was transferred out of Britain sometime after 108 and eventually faded from history under uncertain circumstances at some point in the 2nd century. But, and this is the real twist, solving one clue doesn't solve the mystery. It only moves it, because we know it was on the Rhine. And then, the silence returns. There are theories that it was sent east to Trajan's wars against the Parthians, or that it perished in a revolt in Judea, alongside another legion that also vanished. The Legio IX Hispana disappeared from the records after the Bar Kokhba revolt, between 132 and 136, and the scholarly consensus suggests its destruction during that conflict. But be careful, none of this is proven. To date, no inscriptions, tombs, or tile stamps mentioning the Legio IX Hispana have been found in Judea, and since Roman legions usually left material traces wherever they deployed, the absence of such evidence casts doubt on the theory. And here's the uncomfortable truth, the one you rarely hear. Perhaps there was no epic catastrophe at all. The real explanation for the Lost Legion may be far simpler and more mundane than the myth. The unit may simply have been disbanded, as it had been several times before, may have continued serving elsewhere, or may finally have been destroyed in another battle years later. A legion can die without a final glorious battle. It can come apart little by little, dissolve into detachments, dilute into the machinery of the empire until its name simply stops being written. So the next time you hear the legend of the legion devoured by the fog of Scotland, remember this. The real evidence doesn't point to a heroic end. It points to something far more disturbing. We don't know. There is no definitive evidence pointing to anything. All we have are theories. 5,400 men, one of the most documented armies in history. And yet, almost 2,000 years later, we still don't know how the Ninth Legion disappeared. Sometimes the most terrifying mystery isn't a massacre. It's a silence no one has ever managed to explain.